Everything is changing right now. Look all around you. Life, business, the internet, social media, the web, art, coding, attention, programs, even AI. What worked last year is already starting to rot. And that's why most best business model for 2026 videos feel like reruns. Same advice, same templates, same dopamine thumbnails. But I'm not here to sell you recycle strategies with a new timestamp. I'm here to show you the vessel, the proven vessel that actually makes sense for the next 2 to 3 years and beyond into your future, and how you can actually build it without losing your mind. Because this is why I'm doing that video, because I see it. It's the same old recycled stuff, same people saying the regurgitating information, and here's my book, buy my course, and here's 10 proven strategies for you to take for you to practice for 2026, or people talk about New Year's resolution, etc., etc., etc. So the problem is, you've probably seen the panic posts. Value content is dead, info products are dead, coaching is dead, and it's doing what fear always does. It freezes people. It makes you think, if everything is dead, then why even bother? Why start? But that's what happens when a new paradigm shift shows up. There's no instruction manual yet, because the manual is being written in real time by whoever is willing to test reality instead of arguing their perspective online. The one person model is evolving. Not everything is evolving. For the last decade, the one person model was simple: post content, earn attention, sell education, which is courses, coaching, PDFs, and that was real. It actually worked because one person could actually run a whole operation: marketing, sales, product delivery. The value wasn't capped by an employer anymore. It was capped only by reach and results. That part still actually matters, but here's the shift. The format is changing. The old vessel was static: PDF, course, community. But now, static feels very slow. People don't want a library. They want a system that moves. They don't want information. They want implementation. So this is why people say info products are dying. Info products aren't dead in a literal sense. What's dying is the average one, because the baseline has been raised. So think about it. If a low effort person can generate a mediocre ebook overnight, which they definitely can now, then the market gets flooded with noise, which it actually is. And when the market gets flooded, buyers get skeptical, which they should, as always. Not because learning isn't valuable, because trust is. Let me repeat that. Not because learning isn't valuable, because trust is. So what happens is the middle collapse. Only two categories will survive: beginner bait, high trust, high taste systems. What's the beginner bait? What do I mean by that? Cheap, simple, fast. Boom, 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 boom. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. That's the beginner bait. What is the high trust, high taste systems? Deep, specific, lived, proven blueprint of the strategy of this person, of what problem they had and how they overcame that problem. If you want to play the long game, you're going to be building the second, obviously. So the fact is that you can still benefit from info products, and you want to be able to have these type of products to your possessions. But what actually is more beneficial is products that can actually help you evolve in a reactive standpoint. Learning how you can learn more effectively in a reactive standpoint. Something that can actually be there right with you while you are learning, while you are evolving as an individual. So the next education product is a learning experience. So it's all experience of how you can become a more efficient learner. So here's the adaptation. The future isn't going to be like, here, buy my course. The future is step into my mind and let it train you. So that's where I'm trying to get at. Not so it's not going to be with motivational quotes that we hear all the time. That doesn't do anything for you. It's going to be with feedback, with correction, with real output, actually doing the thing. The old motto is watch 10 hours of my course. The new motto is do the thing with a guide that actually responds. That's why the new product isn't a PDF anymore. It's not even a course anymore. It's going to be a learning machine. And this is something that I'm actually building right now. I'm actually sketching it out. I'm going to call it the rabbit hole. And I actually have another AI that I want to design. It's going to be called the Ubermeech, but that's a whole nother thing. I'm just going to talk more about the rabbit hole right now. The rabbit hole, I'm going to talk about it in a simple sense, not going to be too detailed, specific in it, but the rabbit hole is a learning model, and it's a learning model that can help you connect the dots and identify patterns in life. And also, but that's what it does in a broad sense, but specifically what it really will do, how we can really help you specifically as an individual is that whatever you want to learn, whatever skill you want to develop or practice, that learning model is going to help you. It's going to literally be your master in whatever you're trying to study, whatever you're trying to learn, whatever you're trying to master as a student. It's going to be there, whether it's physics, chemistry, martial arts, whatever. It's going to be there. But what it's also going to do is why I call it the rabbit hole, because it's going to teach you in a radical sense of how to learn that discipline or that field, that skill. This is why I call myself a radical, because I like to go to the deep root of things. So it's going to teach you the radicalness of how to become that, how to master that. And not only will it do that, but it also will give you similar other fields and skills that you can learn on top of that, in additional to what you're learning. So it's going to teach you how you could connect the dots with other disciplines in skill sets of the specific skill that you're trying to learn. So this is what I mean by connecting the dots. You're going to be able to look at disciplines that can be kind of foreign to what you're already trying to learn right now, but you're going to be able to see the similarities in that discipline that looks like it can be so far-fetched from what you're already trying to learn. And so that's kind of also like looking at the patterns in life and seeing the connections in everything, because in essence everything in life does connect. So it sounds a little bit complex, but basically what I'm basically trying to say is that even as a human, even as a person who was living in 300 BC, there were polymaths. They understood this. They were like Leonardo da Vinci or Nikola Tesla, even somebody like Elon Musk now. They're not specialists just trying to learn one thing. They are deep journalists who understands, who has the ability to understand anything. You got, there's different models of thinking: first principles thinking, strategic thinking, being a critical thinker, and it doesn't stop there. Because becoming a person that's going to continue to keep evolving is being a person who's going to keep learning and going to keep expanding their mind and not going to just stay put in one thing. You might have more of a higher interest in some things than others, but you're not going to be opposed to grabbing as much as you can, using as much as you can in so many different things, and finding that connection to your benefit, to your vision. Because that's what it's all about, being a human being. I think being a human being is not being limited and not being put in a box. So again, the future isn't buy my course. So a new product isn't going to be a PDF. It's not even a course. It's a learning machine, a structured experience where someone learns, practices, gets feedback, and produces something real. And yes, AI does make this possible. Not because AI replaces learning, but because it can bring back something we lost, which is apprenticeship. The apprenticeship model returns how? Before mass, it will return before mass education. You didn't study a skill. You stood next to someone who had it. So that before mass education, you didn't just study something. You stood next to a master who mastered where you're trying to go, who you're trying to be. So I've pretty much had apprenticeship roles in my life. I told you I studied martial arts, and I have that master. He was right there. He will correct every single thing that I would do. Right now, I told you in my last video that I am going into medical school, and that, well, not medical school as of yet, but right now I'm getting deep into the medical field, and I am about to get, right now I'm in a neuromuscular program, but I'm about to go into chiropractor school. And prior to me going to chiropractor school, I call around a lot of different chiropractor offices or sports medicine clinics that has a doctor of a chiropractor and a physical therapist or both, and I will just ask if I can just come, if they allow apprenticeship roles or if they allow externship roles, and if I can actually shadow a chiropractor. And I've actually gotten a lot of yeses. A lot of people, a lot of clinics, they will allow me to come in there, chiropractors, they will allow me to come in there and they will allow me to shadow them. And I can talk to them, ask them questions, and I have that rapport, and I actually have that huge database now of doctors that I can actually go to and ask questions for my research, for my resources. So they also will allow me to, like, there's one sports medicine clinic that a chiropractor that I know fairly well now. I have the opportunity to be a chiropractor assistant, and so not just doing extern or intern, but actually being an assistant, actually assisting a chiropractor. So what I actually do is I work with him. He will, before he sees his patients, well, he had already seen them, but he will get their injury report, or maybe another doctor's report, or anything like, or their MRIs or X-rays. So he will get that type of report. He will study that, and then he will come and talk to me and tell me what muscles, what ligaments, or whatever I need to focus, area of the body I need to focus on before they go see him. So he will have me. So the whole idea is for me to do body work on those patients, warm up the fascia, the muscles, if stuff like that, and for about 5, 10, 15, 25, 30 minutes, depending on what that patient paid for. And then prior to that, I'm working on that targeted muscle area. I got to know my anatomy, so not just work on that targeted muscles area, but I can work on other areas of the body that's a connection to that other area of the body. And so anatomy to me is a lot like life, because anatomy gets really deep. Life gets really deep. And when you really have a 3D vision of the body, you really understand that how everything in the body connects. Something has to work. If something in a body doesn't work, it almost can knock off everything else in the body, almost in a broad sense. But the point I'm making is that now I'm connecting the dots. I'm looking at anatomy, but I also can see the similarities in anatomy in the human body, how it functions, and how an economy in a nation functions, or how the actual real world functions. There are similarities. And so that's just my point. And so I was actually making another point, but I actually want to give that example to you too, because that's what I'm saying. When you train your mind to really see the similarities in different things, stuff starts to click. You start to look at life differently. It's really interesting and it's really fun. It's like a game, and it helps you as an individual to be able to relate more, to be able to understand more, and to evolve as a person. And if you're a creator or an entrepreneur, you can create things, products, and to this sense of this video, to relation to this video, learning models where people can actually learn and evolve as a person. Because I'm really big on learning, but I'm not really big on just learning just one thing. I think it's a beautiful thing when you can, again, connect, understand more, connect more. So again, before mass education, you didn't just study a skill, you stood next to someone who had it. They will correct your grip, they caught your mistakes in real time, they shaped your taste. Industrial education scaled the lecture model because it was efficient. But efficient doesn't make effective. Now we can simulate apprenticeship at scale. Not precisely, not magically, but enough to destroy static learning. Static learning, I just feel like is one of the worst ways to learn. So this is what so here's the simplest blueprint. You take what would have been your course and you turn it into a knowledge base. Your frameworks, your steps, your examples, your rules, everything. Then you build a simple interface with 3 zones: learn, practice, build. What I mean by learning: guided lessons that ask questions, adapt and teach based on where the person is. You meet where that person is at. Practice: exercises that forces output and provide corrective feedback. Build: what I mean by building: a structured path that produces a finished result. This is not AI that does it for them. This is AI that trains them while they do it. That's the difference between a toy and a product people keep. So if you think building on AI is cheating, then everything is cheating in a sense. If you really think about it, every product is a wrapper around something. Websites wrap code, apps wrap servers, courses wrap ideas, communities wrap incentives. The question isn't is it a wrapper? The question is it a better outcome for the user? Does it save time? Does it create real output? Does it feel like guidance instead of consumption? Those are bigger questions. Those are the things that actually matters. So your real advantage isn't doing what others can't do. That's a losing game. Your advantage is building what only you would think to build. What only you would think to build. Because your combination of interests, scars, obsessions, taste, and worldview creates prompts other people would never type. See, that's what makes your difference so valuable. In products other people would never design. Most people will copy surfaces. Few people can copy depth. That's why it's so important for you to spend time with yourself and for you to keep searching yourself, discover yourself daily. Spending time daily. That's the whole game now. Depth, taste, specificity. So, no, the creator path isn't dead. It will never be dead. I don't think it will ever be dead, because the creator path is you discovering you constantly living and learning, and you selling that in a way. You teaching and educating other people your way, your lifestyle, your mind, what you discovered, so other people can benefit from that. That's what makes people so valuable. But if people don't explore that, don't discover and explore that, it doesn't really make you a valuable person. What makes you actually a valuable person is not that you're just breathing air. What makes you a valuable person is that you're living, and that you learn how you're living, and you keep learning from your experiences, and then you found a persuasive way how you can educate people to learn what you've learned, and so on and so on and so on. And that's infinite intelligence in a way. That's why I was trying to say, like, intelligence is infinite, because that's intelligence. We learn from each other. We keep stacking on top of that, and we keep building, and then we just keep stacking, evolving our technology, and then we keep evolving as people. We always should be over our technology because we're creating it, but we keep going. We keep walking in this thing we call life in our world. And then wisdom, I will say, is just, I wouldn't even decrease wisdom to taste. I would say wisdom is the judgment, the wise judgment that you can make that can benefit you for the future. That's what I would say kind of wisdom it is. But again, the creator path isn't dead. The lazy version is dead. If you want to survive the next wave, stop selling static information. Build a living system. Build a learning machine. Build the thing you wish existed when you were the beginner. And if you're serious about that, you're not behind. You're early. So if you want more, tune in next week. I'm going to start back doing these videos once a week. And like, comment, share, subscribe. And deuces.